Yo, what's happening? This is your brother, Cabrin, the rapping real estate investor. One more time, we here looking to share some knowledge, share some experience, drop some gems wherever I can. Hopefully it impacts your life in a positive way. And in exchange, all I ask is that you please take a minute, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more videos to come, more content will drop daily. And the goal is to equip people with the knowledge, the resources, and the opportunities to build wealth through investing. And I just so happen to focus in real estate. So thank you in advance for taking a minute to like and subscribe to this channel. And we could get to it. They call me the rapping real estate investor, primarily because of stuff like this. See, couldn't measure this greatness. Probably the hate that they gave us since we was young probably made us. Yeah. Now I'm growing some acres. I'm trying to grow in some acres. I need my property growing. I need my knowledge to keep growing. I need my people to grow, and we just gonna keep on going. I never see it. Yeah, they wouldn't think that we know it, but we gonna peep it, and then we gonna have to reap it if they ain't even giving what we need. Is just the people that we've been seeing. I'm eating, and I'm gonna keep on eating. I'm just gonna leave it where it landed. They wouldn't understand that I've been abandoned. I came from Kansas. They wouldn't land it. I'm just playing. I ain't even here to rap for you. I don't even know if any of that made sense, but it don't matter. Because I ain't here to rap for you. I'm here to rap with you, particularly about real estate. And today we are going to cover some basic information about, we just gonna go over some terms and stuff like that. Basic terms for, if you wanted to get involved in the real estate world, just some jargon, for the layman. We can try to get you up to speed. So if you do hear some of these terms or these acronyms and stuff like that, you'll know what they mean, and you can act accordingly. As usual, I just want to let y'all know, a lot of times I'm doing this just like the raps. It's freestyle. I have a topic, and then I just kind of go off the head from whatever I can recollect at that moment. And I'm gonna do better with that. I'm gonna start organizing my content a little bit more. But I just say that because I know I'm going to forget stuff, and I know that there are going to be things that I probably could go more in depth on. Most of the time, it's just a monologue. I apologize if I do miss anything, and that's the reason. We'll come back daily with videos so that we can update, increase, and deliver more value, and maybe reiterate and touch and expand on more things. So I just say that to say that I'm sure that there are plenty of terms that you will come across as you get started. You get started in the investment world, and I'll let you and like I said, I'll do my best to update you as that comes, or as time goes on. Put it in the comment. I could do my best to clarify and explain whatever. So we'll get to the basics. Just like, let's think of one. ARV. You'll probably hear that. I probably mentioned it. ARV is an acronym, or it stands for after repair value. The after repair value of a property is basically what it says. It's the value of the property after it's repaired. As investors, we are typically buying properties at a discount. Well, you should if you're a good investor. And then at that point, you'll fix it up. You'll repair it, whatever it needs to be done, maybe rent it out or whatever. But you base your offer price and everything off of how much the property is going to be worth when it's all said and done. That's the after repair value, or the ARV. Let's just talk about a rental property, which seems pretty self-explanatory, but we're gonna break it all the way down. Rental property, that is any property that you own, that you rent somebody else. They pay you monthly income to occupy the property. Now, usually you have an ownership right, and then they have a a right of possession. So that means they can stay there. You own the property. They have certain rights that you have to honor as their landlord. It is your property, but you can't do whatever you want whenever you want to, because by renting the property to somebody else, you give them a certain number of rights. And that goes into a whole bunch of other stuff that we're not going to cover in this particular video. But that's a rental property. And then they have short-term rentals and they got long-term rentals. Short-term rental, if you hear that, it's usually referring to something like an Airbnb, maybe a vacation home where, you know, people are just renting out for a weekend, maybe a week, stuff like that. And then the long-term rental would be anything that you are holding for a substantial, I would say, over, you know, long-term rental, I would say, refers more to the lease of probably at least 3 to 6 months will probably be considered a long-term rental. Honestly, most long-term stuff for me, I would say a year. But in reality, most people aren't renting out an Airbnb for a few months. But that is actually, I'll correct myself, because like travel nurses and stuff like that, I know investors who particularly, they just target that demographic, or contract workers and stuff like that. So in a similar sense, they'll have contracts with corporate, they call those corporate leases a lot of times, where you have an agreement with a bank. Again, we're talking about short-term rentals here. We have an agreement with, not a bank, a hospital, or like a construction company, or something where a corporation in which they are bringing people in town to work for a limited amount of time, and then they'll go out. But those type of things are what is included in a short-term rental, opposed to a long-term rental where you're signing a year lease, 6-month lease, or, you know, whatever, and they'll continue to renew as long as they're satisfied with staying there and you're satisfied with them as a tenant. Let's see what else we got here. Equity. I think we discussed this several times. Equity is the amount of money that you have in the property. You know, if the property is worth, I always use 100,000 because it's a round number. If you property's worth 100,000, you got a loan on it for 60,000, and that's your mortgage. The equity in there is 40,000. It's the difference between what the property is worth, the after repair value. Well, I'm not gonna say the after repair value. We'll get into that. Actually, that'll be the next one. But the value of the home, the market value, and the loan that you have on the property. The difference between that is the equity. That's what you own in the property. Now, in that same breath, we'll talk about the market value of the property. The market value is usually going to be the value of the home. It's not like the after repair value. The market value is the value that you can get for the property right now, if you put it on the market now. The market is it's a tricky thing. Typically, that would mean conventionally selling it with a realtor. In all things being equal, the property is in good condition, meaning it doesn't need any substantial type of work. Maybe, you know, some little minor work, or, you know, a little updating and stuff. But overall, the property is in decent condition, and you're selling it in the open market, able to get a retail price for it. Because then there's also like as is value, or a cash price, and all of these are different tiers. I usually break it down, and I even explain this to sellers when I talk to them, that your home pretty much has 3 values. It has what it's worth right now if you were to list it with a realtor and get the maximum amount of money for its value in its current condition. You may need to clean it up. You may need to do a few things to get the market value of the home. And then you have the potential market value, or the after repair value. Those are like the same thing. And that's what, if you fixed up everything, you updated the bathroom, updated the kitchen, you paint carpet new, like if the property was rehabbed and put on the market, that's the top of what it could potentially get. And then you have like a cash value, as is. You don't have to take any trash out of it. You don't have to, as this home stands right now, to get it done and closed and be over with it. You have a value for that, and that's usually going to be substantially less. because typically people who are doing that are investors. Plus, they also have the burden of cleaning it out and fixing it up, and they're just kind of taking whatever liabilities come with that. So those are three different prices that are always that a property has whenever you're looking at a home. So what's the next one? We'll talk about a real estate agent and a real estate broker. A lot of times these two terms are used, and I throw a realtor in there as well. These terms are kind of used interchangeably a lot of times. A realtor and a real estate agent are the same thing. Just two different names for the same thing. And a real estate agent is a person who has taken a course and has got licensed with the state that they are in to act in the interest of somebody else to help them buy or sell a home. Excuse me. So if you are a realtor, you represent somebody else. You're not selling your own house. You can sell your own home without a realtor anytime. But a realtor, they have certain obligations. They're fiduciary, which means they have a obligation to act in the best interest financially and ethically on behalf of somebody else, meaning that they make decisions for what's best for their client, not what's best for them. And they are held at a higher esteem, or there's certain laws and things that they are held to, because ultimately, back in the day, before there were people who had to be licensed to sell real estate, people would just pretty much say, oh yeah, I'm a professional, I can help you sell your house. And then they would do shady stuff and take advantage of people. And if you didn't know anything about real estate, you would be susceptible to being robbed or conned, and just even somebody who you could have had a property that was worth $200,000, and somebody comes in and says, "Oh yeah, I'm a real estate expert," and then they sell your house for $1,000 or $100,000, and then you just lost out on $200,000, and you potentially paid this person to do that for you, and if you don't know anything about the market or anything, then you just took that L. So it's to protect the people. They require people to get real estate licenses if you're going to act on behalf of somebody else and selling their home or helping them buy a home. And that's what a realtor is, or a real estate agent. There is also a real estate broker, which is somebody who they have an agency of realtor agents, if that makes sense. They own one of the differences is that a broker has your salesperson, or you're a broker. A salesperson works for a brokerage. So basically, as a broker, and not all brokers, just because you have a broker's license doesn't mean you have a bunch of agents working in your brokers. You can be the only agent, or you can have a broker's license and not actually have a brokerage. You can actually have a broker's license and work for another broker, but it's just a license that gives you like full access. There's certain things that you're not able to do as a real estate agent that you are able to do as a broker, and you just have there's also more paperwork. There's more liabilities, things like that, because again, it's just an increased level of responsibility that you are held accountable for with the additional capabilities in the real estate world. So that's a realtor and a broker. They have the mortgage brokers as well. While we're talking about brokers, they have a mortgage broker, and I'll contrast that to people think a lot of times that that's like a bank, or just whether they think that's just a lender, or somebody they think that they're the same thing, but they're different in the sense that a mortgage broker doesn't actually loan you any money. A mortgage broker goes out and shops with multiple different lenders, banks, credit unions, whatever companies, and finds you the best rates for your credit score and your situation, and then they bring it to you, and then they get paid in between. And they have the actual lender. Like if you went to your bank, and your bank is going to loan you the money directly from everybody else's account, and that's the difference between a lender and a broker. A lender is going to actually give you the money to do whatever you need to do. A broker is going to go find you the money from a lender, typically. So I know I'm all over the place with this. Please forgive me. I'm just shooting them as they come to my head. A wholesale deal or a wholesaler, that is a person who usually markets for a property, and then they get that property under contract. They come to an agreement, and then they write up an agreement with the seller. And then once they have that locked up, they go to a cash buyer, because typically, I won't say they don't have the money. That's not always accurate. They may have the money to buy the house, and they should, if you do it right, you should have at least the means to be able to buy the house, even if that's not your sole intention. And then what they do is go to their network or their cash buyer, bring the opportunity to them and say, hey, I have this contract on this property over here. I will give you this opportunity to buy this house. I'll step out of the contract. You step in my shoes. You close on the deal, and then you can fix it or flip it or rent it out or whatever you are going to do. And then then I collect a small and sometimes large fee in between. That's a wholesale deal, and you can do that actually for any level of multifamily, commercial, single family, all that stuff. But yeah, that's a wholesale deal. And while I'm mentioning these things, let's go over that. A single family home is just as it sounds. There's one door. Usually one family is able to live there. You're talking about one kitchen, I guess however many bathrooms and bedrooms, but typically the home was built and designed for one family to live in there, one door under one roof, essentially. Then multifamily, that's small multifamily is going to be a duplex, triplex, fourplex, anything like that. Usually up to 4 is going to be small multifamily, where it's still considered residential. This is still designed. This property was built for people to live in. When I say residential, that's what that means. So you're talking about duplex, triplexes, and fourplexes. Those are, if you have ever seen one or lived in one, that's just simply connected units, up to 1 or up to 4, 2 to 4 units in which multiple doors are under one roof, or on the same property. And that's a multifamily, a small multifamily. Then you get into larger multifamily. Once you, or we'll even say commercial, once you get to 5 units, now it's no longer considered residential. Now it's considered commercial. Commercial meaning that this building was designed for an investment or to make money. So the way that the banks look at it and lenders and everybody changes some, because now they're analyzing it from how much money can this property make, opposed to how much is it worth, because how much would somebody be willing to pay to live here, etc., and stuff like that. So this is a different way that the banks and the lenders and everything like that look at the property and how it's classified by the city or municipality that it's located in. So that's once you get above 4, 5 plus units, it's pretty much commercial. And then when you get into like large multifamily, that's usually when people are talking about 100-unit apartment complexes. The definition for large is different for everybody. I usually say around 70 to 80 because that's where a property manager, or you'll pay somebody else to stay on the property to manage it on site, and things like that. But once you get above, it's all considered commercial multifamily once you're above that 5 units, and then that gets broken down into whether it's small, medium, or large, and they all have their own different intricacies depending on what level you are at. So let me see what else we got. Let's say subject to, I don't know, we're kind of getting to advanced. If you ever heard of, matter of fact, I'm gonna come back to that. Let's go to short sale. If you ever hear the term short sale, the short sale means that the lender Usually that means somebody has a loan on a property, and for whatever reason they're in a distressed situation. Say they lost their job, they had to go to the hospital, got sick or something, but they're no longer able to pay the mortgage, and for whatever reason, the mortgage on the property is more than the home is actually worth. And so they're in a tight place because they can't, like we had mentioned earlier, they can't sell the property. The market value, what they can sell that property for right now on the open market, is less than what they owe on it. So it puts them in a tight place. Also puts the lender in a tight place, because now they're not getting any money. They have a bad loan. So they will sometimes be willing to do a short sale, which means the lender is willing to take a lesser amount than what is owed on the property in order to get it sold and get the bad debt off of their books. And then as an investor, you will come in, negotiate with the seller, but primarily negotiate with the lender to see what is an acceptable price for them to accept in a reduction of the mortgage amount. And then the seller gets to sell the property, the bank gets a bad debt off their books, and you get a discount on an investment property. And sometimes that's not possible, or the numbers don't make sense, or the bank's not willing to do that, and then you would do what's called a subject to thing. And this can be broken into a few different categories. Subject to being, I'm paying off. This is simply put, it's the loan stays in your name, but I'm gonna come in and start making the payments so that you don't have this house that, say you had a vacant house that's beat up that you can't rent out, you don't have the money to fix it, and you have this loan on it and you're paying every month, and it's just hurting you. You can't sell the house because it's not worth what the mortgage is on it, and you're just in a tight place. And I say, hey, I can't buy it for cash. The bank's not willing to do a short sale on it, but I could just take over your payments. You're still going to sell the property to me. In essence, you're going to sign the deed over to me, but the loan is going to stay in your name, but I'm going to pay the monthly payments. It is risky for the seller because for a few reasons. One, if you stop paying on that loan, they can that's going to negatively affect the seller. Also, if there's this thing called a due on sale clause, which just means that if the lender can say, hey, I want all of our money right now. If you got $50,000 that you owe in this house, and then you sign the deed over to somebody else, so it went from your name to somebody else's name, and then the lender sees that, they could come and say, I need all of our money now because that's outside of the agreement. We made this loan with you. You're responsible for the property, and since you transferred your rights to somebody else, now we have to call the loan due today. So that's a possibility. They typically don't do that as long as the monthly payments are coming in, but it can be done typically if interest rates are extremely are higher than where they were originally when the loan was issued, because then basically they're saying, hey, they could just call this loan due now, and then put out a new loan at a higher interest rate and make them some more money. Now, let me see. There's a bunch of, you know what? I'm going to stop right here because I could do this all day. This video is already like 23 minutes or so, and I'm going to do a follow-up video. We'll kind of continue on with some more terms and stuff to get us acquainted. Excuse me. And get us, with some more. And actually, next time, I'm going to come prepared. I'm going to write them down. We'll review these ones, and then we'll go through some more, just so that you at least have your jargon straight. And when you're talking, you don't sound like an amateur. And you can talk the talk, So I appreciate your time. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more content to come. Be blessed. Be healthy, wealthy, and all that stuff. Exercise your body, exercise your mind, exercise your spirit, and exercise your grind. I'll holla at you.